So good morning, everyone. Jore geltkivanok mindenkinek. Nagyon örülök, hogy itt lehetek veletek. It's an honor and a joy to be here with you today. Like Makako said, I've been invited to speak to you about the future of ecovillages. And if Stefan yesterday said he was nervous because who was he to speak for Gen Europe, you can imagine how I feel. Speaking about the future of the incredible diversity that you also saw presented to you yesterday. So I acknowledge that what I say will be from my perspective. I know that you all carry seeds of the future within you, and I think my only hope is that some of what I share can become fertile soil for some of the seeds that you are also holding. I'm also a bit nervous because the future is something that our movement really deeply cares about. Do you remember Massimo's t-shirt on the first day? It was like from the 90s, I think, and it said, "Welcome to the future," right? And I've really carried the question with me, like, what is that future that our movement was founded for? What is the future that our ecovillages dreamt of? And I'm really sorry to say, but I don't think we can say welcome to that future fully yet, because the future that we dreamt of as a movement 30 years ago hasn't come, right? Instead, we're living with something a little bit opposite. And I want to be honest with you today about the depth of the crisis that we are facing, but also about my depth of love and hope for our movement. Because, as you know, like ecovillages have always been seeds. We're speaking about seeds. They've always been seeds of other ways of living, other ways of doing things. But what will it take for our seeds to grow when the rains disappear and the forest is dying? And I feel like that's what we're facing. We got to get really, really good at tending our seeds with intention. And before I do that, love it. I want to say thank you. I want to thank you and your ancestors who brought you here. I want to thank all of your traditions. You all come with the home, you come with the tradition, you come with the vision, you come with your seeds. Some of us are rooted in this soil and come from here. Some of us come from far away, crossed oceans and continents to get here. Some of us have lived communally for our whole lives, and for some of us, we're only just starting to explore what community can mean. So thank you for being here. Whatever you came from, wherever you are in your journey, it matters that you're here. You are part of what makes this possible, and your gifts and your being here is us making the future. So thank you. Thank you also for doing all the work that keeps ecovillages and this network alive. Thank you for your courage to experiment. That's great. Thanks for your creativity in meeting challenges. Thanks for your tenderness and courage to grieve when things are hard. Thanks for meeting in unity instead of uniformity. So thank you. And I also want to thank Mana's Garden, and here I will cry. Thank you for bringing the gathering here. And I'm and I'm crying because partly I was born in the end of the Cold War. So I know what it was like before, and it might look like a small thing, but for the gathering to be in Eastern Europe, it's a healing to a huge wound in the European soil and soul. It's also particularly meaningful for me because I'm an immigrant. I grew up in Sweden. But my ancestors live, and my family live 15 minutes away from here. So this is the land that my people have tended for generations. And to come here and speak here in their home, you can see what it does to me. So thank you. Yeah, and Makako said a lot about me, so I don't think I have to introduce more of why I'm here speaking. I do want to acknowledge that much of what I will share, I have learned from the communities that I'm working with. It doesn't come, it's not my wisdom. And some of you are here in the room today, so thank you so much for being on that journey with me. Because my passion is really to see how we can keep being living examples as we navigate the future together, and to make sure that people everywhere, no matter if you live in an eco-village or not, has the tools and knowledge that you need to build structures that can hold us when crisis deepens and things start to unravel. Yeah? And to do that, I think we need to live in the future that we have, not in the future that we wanted. And I don't think we can speak meaningfully about the future without touching in on what that future actually looks like. I am sure that our qualities and capacities as community builders will be more needed than ever. But to do that, we need to be honest, we need to be humble, we need to celebrate as well as learn. And it's a time to lean in and be brave, not turn away from the world. So I'm going to invite you to lean in with fierceness, love, and humility. I also want to acknowledge that the future is already here. When I thought about the future of ecovillages, I'm like, most of what I want to speak about is now and how to navigate the next few decades. So the future is here and it's not evenly distributed. Some people in our network are already living in deepening crisis. Some of us live, like myself, in more privileged and safe places. I don't think I have to remind you that we're on track for 3 degrees or more of global warming, with the incredible destabilization of our planet that means. I also don't think I have to remind you that we're in the middle of the 6th mass extinction and we're losing species like this. We also live with fires, with floods, with drought, with hurricanes. We live with unbelievable injustice. We live with widespread famine. We live with extreme xenophobia, with wars, with misogyny, with transphobia, with rising fascism. We live in a food system that's torturing animals and killing our soil. And we live with an economic system that's eating up everything that's sacred and spitting out garbage on the end. We live in a world where indigenous, traditional, and land-based cultures are under attack every day from people who steal their lands for resources. And we live in a world where land is being desecrated and more land is becoming unlivable for everybody. So that's the world that we're living in, and that's the world that we're navigating. And I know that it hurts to take that in. It hurts to look at it. It's scary. Yeah, so maybe take a breath to be with that. Because even if it hurts and it's scary, looking at it and acknowledging it is the first step to taking real action in that world. So we gotta do it, and we have each other to hold hands with as we do that. And the good news is that a lot of what we need is stuff that you're probably already doing. One of my favorite insights from research into crisis and collapse of societies is that it simply shows us who we already are. It shows us the systems that we have in place and the logic of those systems. So the best way to prepare is to be now who we think we need to be in the future. And we're doing a lot of that. That's things like sharing meals and resources, building our ground in a strong way, knowing how to stand in solidarity with each other, knowing how to share, right? Knowing how to care for ecosystems. Like, we know how to do it, but I think we can do it with more awareness as we move forward. And what's great is that we're also doing it together. We are walking this path together. If you're here, you're already together. That's huge for our own resilience. Like, we have the privilege to live in cultures, or at least have friends, where we can express our grief and anger for what's happening with the world, where we know the solidarity of another person backing us up, and where we share a love for the living earth that we can let burn between us. But it's also huge for our capacity to make change. I want to bring you a favorite quote of mine from Audre Lorde. If someone knows her, she's a black feminist poet and activist. And she said, "There's no liberation without community. There's no liberation without community." Why? Because systems of oppression break trust, it privatizes survival, it separates us from the living world, and it suppresses collective power. And community has the power to rebuild all of that. Yeah? Community is a direct response to rebuild bonds of care, mutual aid, and the power of collective action. But community is also a place where we can imagine other futures together and practice that in our day-to-day life. And we've heard that throughout the gathering. A strength of our movement is our capacity to imagine, and that's also a radical act in a world that doesn't want us to imagine something else, right? And we can't do that alone. We cannot practice those realities alone. So we gotta do it together. And that's what I want to protect, and that's what I would like us, as members of this movement, to extend to others in widening circles around us. And how to do that? Here is my top list of tips for actions. The first one, you ready?
Yeah, born ready.
I believe you. The first one is protecting our ground. It's the baseline of our lives, our dreams, our possibility, and our freedom. It's our sovereignty, our autonomy. It's our food system. It's our right to access land. Yeah? It's where our water is coming from. It's our energy independence. If we do not tend to the material base of our community, we will not have the power to withstand the pressures that we face, and we do not have a base to stand on with our ideas and our imagination. So tend to your material bases. Build food systems. Work on food security. Like our brothers and sisters and other kin in the global south know that gathering around food security is the first thing you do. It's the first, the most important thing to do. And that's not just in your community, because you're too small to do that. So it takes building regional food systems that are resilient. It also means having off-grid systems, learning how to produce your own energy in a modest and humble and appropriate scale. Having renewable energy, having water treatments, everything like that. But crucially, it also means adding diversity and backups to all of those systems. Don't have one garden, have 10 in different places in your community. Don't have one source of water, have as many as you can. Don't have one person who knows how to fix your solar panels. Let them train at least 3 others. We gotta have backups. That's what makes us resilient. Protecting our material base, also means protecting the non-human beings that we all depend on for life. So to keep creating conditions in which other life can thrive is also essential. So I encourage you to really dig down on ecosystem restoration, wildlife corridors, sanctuaries for wildlife, pollinator fields. Like wherever you are, you can do something that supports the life of a non-human being. It also means standing with others to protect their right to protect their ground. Everywhere around the world, arable land, fertile soils are being bought up by huge corporations who are privatizing them, right? Same with our waters and our sources of water. Indigenous traditional land-based communities are under direct attack, like I said, of capitalist system that wants to extract the resources that are still on their land because they have been protecting those lands for centuries. Yeah? And I think it's our job to make sure that the logics that created the empire that our children will walk on the ruins of does not perpetuate what has already happened. Stand with others. It can be looking at land rights and rematriation of lands for indigenous people. It can be working for indigenous rights. It can be seed freedom or building a seed bank in your country so that you have free seeds. It can be demarketization. Support the commons. Take land and waters and air out of the market economy. And it can be working for the rights of nature to also thrive and exist on the same basis as us or more. Like this. Second, I have 5 minutes. I'm timing myself because I don't want Aurélie to be in pain. So second is trust and inclusion and equity. Yeah. Here's another top fact from my research into all of this. So 500 years of history shows us that the societies that are best capable to navigate through crisis and collapse are those who are more equal and more equitable. Yeah. So inequality in voice and in ownership and in power is a direct predictor for collapse, for societal collapse. Yeah. And we know this as eco-villagers. We know the importance of building trust. We know the importance of inclusive governance. We know the importance of sharing, expressing our emotions, learning to communicate well, like all of the things we do. I know we think we have a lot of problems. Yeah, it's always there. It's like, oh, but our governance is like not good enough. We don't know how to resolve conflicts. It's this and that. But we're doing it, and it's not about perfecting it. Like Sunita said yesterday, Ecovillage is a process. It's not a destination. It's the fact that you keep showing up to each other, and you're willing to do the work of building trust and working together. That's the basis of our collective action. It's not getting it right always. It's willing to be wrong maybe, and then still walking through it. And again, it's not enough to do that inside of our own communities. So I really want to invite us to think as a movement on how can we extend trust, shared governance, and other structures that can hold us, whether that's mutual aid systems, it's sharing resources, you know, it's showing up for others, providing a home for others in our regions as well as globally. Like we are too small. We're a few hundred people if we're big, right? That's not a basis for having resilience. So you gotta be friends with your neighbors at least and build the same structures there. What could that look like? You know, it can simply be show up at their parties. You know, it's nice. Can be nice. Sometimes there's a lot of alcohol and like meat for those of us who don't eat meat. I live in rural France. There's a lot of meat, and so. But it could also be extend your sharing schemes, like, you know, have your tool library open to non-community members. It can be things like organizing citizens' assemblies, or at least helping with that kind of thing. It could be holding councils of all beings with your local politicians. Anything, you know, that supports us to include more voices and stand for, again, unity but not uniformity. 3. We need to learn how to sail our ship towards the beautiful destination we are going to while navigating a storm. Yeah. So before, we were sailing and the thing was there, it was great, we're going there, maybe there is a little cloud over here, but it's not the case anymore. We are in the middle of the cloud. We cannot base our plans on what worked before or even on what's working now. We got to get really, really good at learning and adapting and being agile in what we're doing and acknowledging that these are times where we cannot know. Yeah? We can show up, we can do our best, but we can't really know what's coming. Because that's one thing that I've learned. You know, I don't know if Europe, which is where I live, is it going to be super hot or is it going to be super cold? It kind of depends on what happens with the ocean currents, right? How do I prepare for that? I just prepare to be prepared for anything. In a sense, right? And a great thing about eco-villages is that we're really good at experimentation and at coming together to take collective action. And those are two strengths that we can leverage if we are strategic to find new solutions for the things that we're facing now. We're good at it. We're good at coming together. We're good at playing. We're good at experimenting. Let's do that, but let's be targeted. Let's know that this is what we're experimenting for. This is what we're finding things for. So that we can keep being those laboratories for the future that Stefan talked about yesterday. And we also need to learn to listen and to see the future. Not to predict the future, but to have an idea of what will the impacts be where I live. What is the possible futures that I will be sailing through together with my community so that we can understand that, so we can monitor it. Very boring word for eco-villages, monitor. And so that we can use those scenarios to practice and prepare so that we know the risks and the leverage points that are there and so that we can take action before it's too late. Super important skill for us to learn. And coming towards the end, it'll be 1 minute too long. For some of us, I know that, including myself, this unraveling that I'm speaking about is largely an idea that's still not quite materialized. For others, it's a lived reality, and we are part of a global network where that's the case. In our global family, we have communities who are living on the front lines of climate change, or who have lived for, decades, hundreds of years with the effects of, the empire that we live in. These communities are really rich in agency, creativity, cultural wisdom, and leadership, and they are taking a lead in meeting the challenges that are here. So we have a huge chance to learn and to follow the lead of those who have gone before us into the future. And that's a beauty of being part of this network if we do it in the right way. Somewhere in this network, there is somebody who knows how to grow drought-resilient crops or harvest water in a new way that's more suitable for your new climate. Somewhere there will be somebody who is an expert at supporting grief. Somewhere there will be somebody who lives in a country where the financial system still works and you can channel public funds to where they're most needed. We have such an opportunity for building relationships globally of solidarity with each other, but I really want to encourage us to do that with humility and deep listening to each other. It's not our place to step in and lead in other places. It's our place to listen deeply and find the points of unity and shared purpose and learning where we can walk together. Because, at the end, showing up in a place like this and keeping connected with Jen is a hugely empowering thing. To know in your bones that you are part of a global family, all navigating this together in one way or the other, is enormously strengthening for our hearts, but can also be strengthening for our material well-being in reality. So, I really think it's time to lean in and be brave. That bravery can look in many ways. First of all, being honest about where we are, and then, like I said, build and protect the resilient basis of sovereignty and well-being for all life. Grow trust, inclusion, and equity in widening circles around you. Learn to navigate stormy waters together. Build community and parallel structures wherever you are that are big and strong enough to hold us when the other systems fragment and fail. And take heart and refuge in each other as you learn to sail the stormy seas together, because Ecovillage shows us that we are not alone. We are not alone in wanting to make a change. We're not alone in facing the future. We're not alone in trying everything, putting our lives there to create the future that we are dreaming of. We're not alone in having the courage to keep learning and living our values and putting our values at the center as we walk towards that. And maybe we can also be not alone in saying that these are uncharted waters where we don't have all the answers, but we can move together with hope, taking action, and building community wherever we are. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Luckily, I'm going to have help teasing out more of the future. So I would love to invite my dear friends to come onto stage as we're going to enter into more of a conversation around what the future of ecovillages could be. So please stand up. Laura will take over.
Thank you, Anna. So, Johannes, Ari, Matteo, Usignolo, and Dijana. Yes, you were already sitting together. Yes, please join us on stage.
You can start.
I can also. All right, so we're gonna keep exploring this kind of dialogue that Anna opened in her speech, and enter into the whole conversation with all the people we have here now. And I want to invite all of you, even if you're not here with a microphone and speaking, to really participate. Everything that's unspoken, all the presents, your thoughts, they also matter. They also shape the space. They shape what's possible here. So I invite you all to really bring your awareness into the conversation, to really join in, because we're gonna explore and discover and maybe say things that have never been said that way before. No, we're leaning together into the future, and it really makes a difference if you're present and joining inside with us for this dialogue. And first, I would like to invite for a round, just for everybody to have a chance to say your name, where you're from, if you live in community, or how you're connected to GEN and the Ecovillage movement, and anything that is maybe alive, moving, or inspiring from what we've heard this morning so far. Whoever wants to start.
Okay. Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Usignolo. I am 29 years old, and I do live in Damanhur since 3 years now. I am Italian, and my pronouns is she, her. I really would love to tell you that there is a lot of excitement, and like my heart is beating so fast in this very moment. And that what I'm gonna share is really based on my own experience and feelings and dreams. I'm not speaking here for Damanhur, even though this place is really teaching me a lot. And yeah, I love this movement. I fell in love with Jen long time ago, and I'm very honored to be here today with you.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm Matteo. I use he, they pronouns, and I am originally from Italy, and I lived in Northern Europe for the last 5 years. Before in Suderbien, now moving to in Denmark, in a collective that is not part of GEN yet, and for me, living communally is just what give me hope and give strength to my daily life and when I wake up in the morning and feeling I have humans around me that believe in what I believe as well. And that's, following up also on the words of Anna, the trust and the what we build together that would not be possible if I would live alone or isolated. Yeah.
Hello everyone, my name is Johannes, pronouns he, him. I'm from Peru and Germany and living in the Jupiter House community, Switzerland, together with Adi. And yeah, we are also pregnant together, and for me it's... and yeah, we receive already so much support and love from our community and also from this community here. And yeah, it's really a gift. It touches me a lot in the heart, and I feel also it's a privilege, and with that also responsibility to make it accessible, also for other people, that more children can be welcomed in community with much love, and that's that's all.
I also have a beating heart. My name is Ari. I'm American, so I'm from the USA, but I've been living in Europe for 9 years now. 7.5 of those have been in Denmark, so this is my second home in Europe. But now I'm in Switzerland with Johannes and Toby. Someone else from our community is here. Wow. I think this excitement and nervousness really comes from a feeling shared by many on stage, which is, who am I to be here in front of you? I know there's so many young voices in this movement who have been around for so long and give so much, and have also taught me and guided me and brought me into this movement. And for this, I'm so grateful, and I hope that I can be a voice for the field, and just speak on what energy I've been giving the past years. And my energy has been moving a lot through projects the past years. I had the privilege to be an ESC with the projects team for Gen Europe last year, and this transitioned me right towards supporting with Theo the project circle of NextGEN. So for me, it's giving as much energy as I can before this little one comes, to find a way to bring in funding to realize the visions that have been alive in the youth movement for some years. We can maybe talk more about that in the panel, or the fishbowl. Yeah, so that's it for now. Thank you. And my pronouns are she, her.
Hi everyone, also from my side. My name is Dijana. I come from Slovenia, but actually, I grew up in Slovenia. I was born there, but my roots are Bosnian. So my parents moved from Bosnia to Slovenia. I currently don't live in an eco-village. I actually live in a more like traditional Slovenian village. I live at the countryside, but yeah, it's not really an eco-village as maybe some of you imagine. But how I'm connected to this movement is through NextGEN, so the youth branch of GEN. I've been active there for quite a while, through different roles. And now my current role is being like a networking delegate, which also means that I take care of national networks. Maybe some of you only heard about NextGEN Europe, but I'm really happy to also share here today that especially lately, young people are becoming really active at the national network, at the national level. And currently we have more national networks, and we have active young people in Belgium, Switzerland, Germany, Luxembourg, and in upcoming months we're also starting NextGEN Greece and NextGEN Turkey. So yeah, I feel like really happy to see how this NextGEN is growing, and that more young people who are maybe also not here are actually active in their own countries. So it's really, really nice to see how the movement is growing. And I'm also not sure if I said my pronouns are she and her, she, her.
Thank you. It's really nice to be sitting here together with you. And yeah, from the seed conversation of the future from this morning, I want to pose a question to maybe start off the dialogue, and then I also invite you to share inquiries that you have, insights that you have around this whole topic of the future. But I'm curious to hear a bit your sense of how do ecovillages and our movement evolve and need to evolve, facing the opportunities and challenges of these times and into the future. And maybe anything you see of how communities, what the role and maybe what a community even is might change for the future. So I'm curious if you have any insights on this, any kind of windows that we can open up from here into this future.
I see a big role of communities to give safe spaces for healing. So, I mean, also in my community, that we are coming once in a week in a heart circle, and we are organizing each other in a very intimate space, and that means also we confront each other with our inner world. And I believe that there's huge potential that we can give space to our wounds of our ancestors, and also to heal them. And yeah, I mean, in our society and with our history in Europe, I believe there's a strong need for that, and that's why I believe we should aim more for creating more communities, that this healing spaces can be more used. And yeah, I feel the more we are in peace with our inner world and inside, we can also be more in peace in groups, and also then also get more in peace with the earth and I believe there's still a long way to go as humanity, but I believe Ecovillage movement contributes a lot to that.
We're figuring out how to navigate the shared space. Yeah, I mean, what was really inspiring and called to me also from what Anna was sharing in her beautiful story about the difficult future that we have to face is our ability to create systems that are real, meaningful, substantial alternatives to the mainstream system. So whether that's food sovereignty, energy, water sovereignty. We also have some projects going on that are serious about creating alternatives to financial systems, and I would love to see more of that also for health systems. And in that, what feels important for me is this creation of independence and sovereignty for communities without creating isolation from their environments. So finding a way that we can become actually these lighthouses for our surrounding environments. What are our contexts, and how can we extend our resources, our sharing to the ones around us? And I know that this is an emerging conversation in some communities and some networks right now. I had the pleasure to hear a little bit from Artera, their discussion about how could they potentially take in, how could they be a resource also for people around, and they have this political drive to take in people without a home or people with disabilities that really need a place to stay. And from the heart space, really desiring to do that, but maybe realizing what it would cost in the community, both in terms of resources and time and projects that they also spend time on. So I think that this is something that, I would love to see us building resilience within communities to be able to extend our healing and what we're building to be resources to beyond our spaces.
Yeah, thank you, Ari. I really resonate with this. Our community can be a hub and a resilience hub for the world and for a global movement that is coming up. And also want to bring the voice of all, and it's not my voice, it's the voice that I hear from many people here having conversation with you during these days of there are so many movements that have so much to bring to the Ecovillage movement as well, and to our community. And for me, it's very much this being open to also be humble and in the humility of receiving from indigenous culture or from activist movements or from also from our elders and from the people that have been there before. I was very how to say hearing Lucilla the other day speaking about how in 2004, 8, I don't remember the year now, but they were doing this Caravana de la Paz and connecting with all these other movement, and I really feel that together we are stronger, and we should do more of this. I don't see this enough in our movement, and I would like to see it more. And I know that many of you and many of us are doing some of this, but on a network level, on a bigger level, I would really like to see this for our future. Yeah.
Yeah, thinking about community, it came to my mind an exercise that I did yesterday in Anna's workshop. And I was standing near this principle. She was putting like a lot of principle connected to systems and community. And I was standing near the principle of interdependency. And I really, what is for myself this word? Is like really what had been so far my experience in this last 3 years. I've been really testing myself in like trying to find what is the balance between my individual being, my essence, my dreams, my also limits, and what is that the collective, the group, my family needs. And I think that what we need to learn, or like actually what community can help us and support us in learning, is really about this principles, like how we can come in a balanced and nurturing relationship among each other. I do believe that like the main pull when it comes to like go to live in a community is really coming from the need of belonging. It's one of the most basic needs that we do have. It's one of the needs that so far we have forgotten. And community is that laboratory where we can polish and refine the structure within and without. And so also interdependency among communities, interdependency among different countries. I'm quite often thinking how, as a community, we can come together also with locals, but not only with groups of people that maybe are already in the movement since longer and just don't have a voice yet. Or also how we can support each other in projects that are connected to education, for example, or regenerative systems. And I think that the key part here is how do we relate to each other? So to really narrow it to the human level.
What first came to my mind when you asked this question is maybe more like, because I come from Slovenia, as I said at the beginning, for me it's also like, how do we create more, like as a network, how do we create more communities in countries when there are no? Like, for example, in Slovenia, we don't have many. Yesterday I spoke to some Croatian people, there is not many. As I said, my roots are in Bosnia, there are not many. So it's also the, like, how do we, now we're already speaking what communities can offer, but I think we should also speak with, in these countries, we should even create these places where young people can get inspired. Because honestly, sometimes I speak to my friends, and especially those who are really working in NGOs, working with all the crises that we're facing. These people, like, including me, like sometimes you can really be hopeless. You can be hopeless to that extent that I spoke to some friends and they told me, I don't wish to have a child. I don't wish to bring a new human being to the place we are at. So, yeah, like it's really sad for me. So for me personally, it's also like, I think as a network, we also need to focus on the countries where we don't have such a good examples, to show to these people, for example, in Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia, to see what is possible, to give them this hope that maybe now they don't see. Because I just want to mention this as well, like recently through my other work, I did some research about the values of the young people in the Slovenian Alpine region, and what came out as the most important value for them was money. And here I feel like, in a way, we are in some bubble. So if I speak with my friends from NextGEN, we are on the same level. But as soon as I speak to some young people in a remote alpine village of Slovenia, this is not their values. So I think as a network, it would be also important to reach these people who have totally different values and, let's say, in my opinion, are going in the wrong direction. And like, how can we bring, I think it's important that this network should also try to bring these people on the path we believe it's the right one. So yeah, just wanted to add that.
I don't know, Anna, if you have a question, something to pose into our round. No? Okay. Yeah, I have also something, but
Maybe we put both in the mix. So I think in a way, like what Dijana finished with and some of what you were all saying, it points to this essence of like, this is a lot of work. Like somebody still has to tend to our wells and our gardens, while some hold our healing spaces, while some go out and connect all over the world. Like it's a lot. We're not enough people. So like, how do we invite more and more people into our spaces, and what will that ask of us in terms of, I don't know, being welcoming or reaching out or that? So I mean, I know we've sat with maybe that question as a movement for a long time, but that's something I hear. It's like we need multitudes, you know?
Yeah, and what I feel kind of emerging through is also like what maybe a bit like the numbers of people and the strength, like for doing all of this, no, like the strength it requires, the integrity, the resilience, the solidarity. So what is it that how can it flow through more freely through us and through our communities and then in these widening circles? This is, I think, also a kind of thread to explore and to navigate. You said it, I think, the ship in the storm, but I also felt it navigating between the kind of collapse and fear and kind of panic and maybe there is no real future, to the other side of where also there's a lot of narratives, technology products who are offering us a certain future, maybe even making it for us. So where do we navigate and find our future path in all of this?
Yeah, we were having a discussion this morning, actually. Matteo, maybe I point to you after this about what it means to like find your space in the movement and be here and bring what you see as missing in Gen or NextGen or our network, however you want to identify your role. And what now is very alive in me from what Laura was just saying is I was really touched when hearing the history of the past days about how so much work was done to connect different regions of the world, establishing worldwide community and international community even in Europe. And I feel a lot of what's alive in the young voices that I hear around me is to connect now with other movements, so other people which might be focused on the same topics which are alive in the eco-village movement, but maybe exist a little bit more on the periphery. And I know there's some people here that do work a lot more with degrowth, with anti-colonialism, with anti-capitalists, all of it. And I think we want to find ways, and probably there's some of you here from that feel more alive or aligned with other movements, and we want to find a way to make ourselves more relevant, I think, is part of it, but also just to grow our strength by allying with other movements which are already making strides, where we would love to see more progress, more impact. I think you get the point.
Thank you. Yeah, I think like this connect and tap in one of my biggest fear is like that as a movement we will not be relevant anymore in some years or in I don't know how many years, but it really feels like, and being in Denmark, I see this very visible that there are, Camilla was saying it the other day, there are like more than 300 communities, but maybe 30 ecovillages. So the community, the social housing movement, they kind of are growing or have been growing also in the past before ecovillages came in. On the side and on there are, as you mentioned, like other movement where we should really, and I was saying before as well, learn something from. And yeah, you have this fear that if we don't stand up with them and in solidarity with them and create alliances with this other ecofeminist movement, antiracism movement, and all this diversity that is out there, and this is also in this place. I don't see how we can really materialize this future, that this seed of future that we are talking about. And in the same way, I feel that sometimes in our discussion we really miss some inputs from this other dimension and this other perspective. And I know that we are also here, and all of us, if we are here, we are member of Gen Europe and Gen in general. And as member, we are bringing this voice as well. So I'm really calling upon all of you as well to bring your voice if you feel that this is important for you as well.
Let's create, please, more comments. I'm getting a little bit impatient, to be honest, because I feel like we have so many communities here, but we're not sharing yet together our food or energy or our money. And I believe there's a strong potential. I mean, there's so many big companies running now, no? And they are grabbing for more market shares, and I believe only if we want to create an alternative, we need to start to connect with each other in the communities and start sharing and create more commons and organize our food, our energy, and even our money together to create an alternative. And let's please do it.
Yeah, I want to jump on that a little bit because I think it's really vital. Also, what Diana was saying, you know, about the people in the Alpine regions valuing money above all else. That's because money is our ticket to freedom and survival in the system we live in, right? So how can we provide other systems of freedom and survival? No, it's this. So that's why I spoke about our material basis. To some extent, we need to do that. But I also want to bring in like some examples from other continents. Like I have dear friends in Togo, Kofi, I don't know if Kofi is here, he's around, and Al-Fusaini in Gambia, and they're both putting so much effort into helping their communities develop economic opportunities that nourish the land, like regenerative local livelihoods. It's so plain, so simple, so important, because that's the way that Kofi knows that he can protect the forest of his community. It's to make the livelihood of the community connected to the well-being of the forest. That's how Al-Fusaini is making people not migrate to Europe, is by creating opportunities in his place that has been completely overrun by sand mining and is being destroyed. So just that, like, I think it's important what Johannes is pointing to, like the solidarity and economic systems between us, but also really looking like at our economic opportunities, because that's how we can also welcome more people and how we can invite more people and how we can build that bridge so that we are not so dependent on the capitalist system.
Yeah, to me, this issue goes very much alongside with two main sides. One is very much connected to already a lot of what you have already mentioned, connected to like how we can create a stronger network that can have mutual support. Not long ago, actually, Damar was having its own coin, and also in several times, our founder Falco was mentioning the importance of creating a mutual economy, shared economy among communities to co-create our own council, to co-create our own government, and to really have a voice, to really have an impact. And I'm thinking also about education, for example, and the work that we are doing with Gaia Education at this very moment, where we are really trying to show how much does it matter to create a different kind of school, to how a different kind of education can make a different impact in the people that are going to be the future leaders of tomorrow. And quite often we are not recognized in the work that we do because it's not certified, it's not recognized by the institutions. And when we are together, when we weave together, the power that we have is tons of time more exponential in this case to really have an impact and voice. And so this is one side. And the other side, where I'm thinking about, I don't know, community trading their own products and having their own market, I really, again, think about the seed of trust. Before you asked us, like, what do you want to see in the future? What I would like to be, like, what I would love to see is trust. Trust, I think, is the very first step towards any action. And so also to, narrow down our connection to acknowledging our human essence, but also our mutual importance in this. Receiving a human being in its own totality, in its own fears, emotions, really trying to implement also, kind of culture and language that goes more towards this side, more towards the heart rather than the mind. I really think that's the key part in all this change. Sorry.
Can
Can we take questions?
Yeah.
In NextGEN.
Put it on the mic.
From butterfly to grasshopper. Well,
That's giving voice to the non-human beings. Can we?
For those in the back, we have a grasshopper.
Wants to join the butterfly with the Gen logo.
Short on time? Yeah. Something short?
I have a burning, and at the EDE in Gladysek, I've been taught that if you have a burning, you need to speak it. And there's one voice in me that is coming out. There are beautiful words by Trisha Hersey. Rest is resistance. And I want to bring that voice into the space as well, that this is also our way of doing anti-capitalist, anti-oppressive work, is to rest, to be held by each other, to support each other. I've been cuddling all of this gathering so far because I've been burning all of this year, and this is the place to also restore ourselves and our community together. And we are held by the earth, and she has the answers for us. Thank you.
Thank you. And this connects quite well to also something that I feel emerging from this conversation, and an opportunity, I think, living in these transformative times where we are now, that we can be the end of some things. We can stand up and say no, or bring something to a close and a completion. So it's not anything that we pass on, that we propagate again, that we hurt again. So we can be the end of some things. And I feel like when I feel into that, I feel a lot of power in that. It's also work, but there's a power of bringing some things to an end, and at the same time being able to be part of the birthing process for something new. Because I really have the feeling we're not really transforming the world, we're birthing a new one within what we have right now. So being part of that birthing process, which also speaks to this topic of the seeds, no? And seeds have the power to be very resilient, no, and stay in conditions until there's time to really grow. And in many ways, I think we're all seeds like this that landed here on the planet, on the earth in these times, and opening to flourish and bring what we each bring as seeds into this. So yeah, I think just to see if something else is alive here to close, and anything on that part of maybe the seeds that we're bringing into the world now.
I just want to plug something, which is that NextGEN is going to meet together for a lunch tomorrow. The meeting point is the hotel tent. So us from NextGEN will be there, but anybody who feels like coming and having a conversation, the best way to get involved is to just meet people, find out what you're burning for together, find out how we can support each other's visions. So feel very welcome to come have lunch with us tomorrow.
From my side, I have to add that in the Gen Europe Council, we are thinking about to develop a strategy in the next 2 years, also how we get more political, and at the same time also how we can support more communities. So there's also we initiated with Anna also 1.5 years ago, the Gen Fund. It's still in the strategy process, how we want to create it. So there's also a question, how much do we trust each other that we put money together and also give it to new communities to build? And that's a question that, I want to ask to us all. And hope we can co-create also something. So a lot of, there's a wish that you engage also in this strategic discussions as members, as member organization. And much love to you.
Yeah, maybe I just want to bring one more voice also from NextGEN, is that we are co-creating together a youth manifesto, but I'm not so much involved in this process myself, so I want to give voice to Elif that can say more about it.
Thank you. It's a surprise. Yeah, so as Theo said, like we heard some voices today, but we know that there's a lot of voice in the movement. And we want to highlight especially the youth voice. That's why we want to create a youth manifesto. We have the newsletter. You can also find it, Meet to Ecovillages in the NextGEN table. If you scan this QR code, there will be a form where you can share your insights, knowledge, and your words to see in the manifesto that is collectively created. Thank you.
And for those of you who are not young but middle-aged, you are also important, but I have no concrete offers for you. We're bridgers. I know, I'm 45, I feel it, I can feel that middle point. It's beautiful. But we are alliance builders, we're builders, we're holders, we're there, we're carrying big loads, so I want to acknowledge you who are here. And I started with thanking you and thanking your ancestors, and I could not leave this discussion without thanking our elders. Because we stand on your shoulders, we sit in your laps. You have made me possible as a being. I would not sit here, I would not walk the path I'm walking if you had not walked yours. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for those who came before.
Right. And to all the ones to come into the future who will follow after. You have something? No. Otherwise, I would wrap up.
It's just one little thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I also want to thank all the people that are really believing in this movement and system. And before the other day, I was thinking about how ancient this movement is. Humankind had been for like centuries and centuries trying to recreate communities and to live in community together, different populations, species, cultures. We are trying to recreate the same system with, of course, like different laws and characteristics each and any time. So to me, when I'm thinking about the future, actually the answer I give is that to me, community is the immanent present. And this is what we are meant to be and how we are meant to live.
All right. Thank you all so much for joining us for this morning as part of this collective dialogue. And for all of you, there's also lots of morning workshops following after this that give an opportunity to explore some of these topics more from indigenous wisdom and different, like other movements that are presenting. So check it out on the program or pick it up in your sharing groups later in the afternoon. And I think we were asked to stand together for a picture. So we'll do that before you all leave the stage. Thank you so much.